Okay, let me give back post access. Okay, awesome. Thank you for joining today's masterclass on how to build a portfolio as a social media manager. So let me share my screen. Jason, I've sent a request to share my screen. Please let me have that. Okay, awesome. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. Yes. Welcome to the Portfolio Building Masterclass. It's our first edition and I'm so excited. So yes, let's get right into it. So what I want to know from you guys is what's the number one thing you want a client to see when they open your portfolio? Is it maybe your work experience, your packages, your services? What is it? Do you have anything in particular, or it's just something you haven't thought of before? You can just put the responses in the chat, so I will take a look at them. Are you guys there? It's just me here.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So what's the number one thing you want a potential client to see in your portfolio when they take a look at it? Okay, services and experience. That's a good one. Does anyone have any other thing to share? Okay, your journey, that's a really good one. That's a really good one. Okay, never thought about it before. That's fair enough. So there are different ways you could go about it when it comes to building a portfolio. I would say there is no one method that works. A lot of people will be like, okay, this is how a portfolio is supposed to be structured. And in the template I'm sharing, there is a structure to follow, but you can also decide how you want it to go. So in my case, what I like to do, similar to how Mariah said her journey is, I like to let the client know some information about me before they dive into it. So it's kind of like building connection. So that's one of the first things I like to do when it comes to a portfolio. I like to, build connection, make people say, okay, this is who she is, apart from just the work. So yeah, that was a good one. And yes, meet your speaker. Hi, my name is Wena. I'm a social media manager and brand strategist with over 4 years of experience helping service-based brands grow with strategy-driven content. I've been a social media manager for 4 years. It's been an interesting journey, and through those 4 years, I have had to grow and evolve my brand because where I was when I started is definitely not where I am currently. So I'm pretty excited to, see where this journey keeps taking me. But yeah, let's continue. So yes, the truth people won't tell you when it comes to building portfolio or basically doing anything in general is if you don't show what you can do, you keep being overlooked. One of the reasons why I'm so particular about having a portfolio or for social media managers or service-based providers to have a portfolio is because people need to see what you can do. Unlike a product-based business where, okay, if they're selling clothes, you can see the clothes, you can see, okay, these are nice clothes or these are pretty clothes. I like the clothes. When it comes to service-based business, it's kind of like a concept where unless they show you that, okay, this is what I can do, you have no idea. It's kind of like someone telling you, oh, I can help you grow your page to 10,000 followers within 2 weeks. And you're like, okay, that sounds lovely. Have you done it before? Can I see evidence that you have done it before? Can I see evidence that this thing you said you can do it? So that is where the portfolio comes in, and that is why it's so important. And you don't want to be a social media manager or a professional who loses a client because of your presentation or lack of presentation. My job today is to show you how to build a good portfolio that does the talking for you, that makes clients say, oh, I want to work with you. We need to work with her. And if this is your first time doing something like this, there is no issue. Usually there is a learning curve because for me, my first year of being a social media manager, I didn't get a single paid client until I learned how to speak to my customers because I didn't know how to not only package myself, but how to, present. Because you need to be able to identify what the problems of your target audience is and how you can solve it. That's what makes you a good social media manager. And yes, while we're here, whether you're just getting started or you want to take your freelance career to the next level, I'm going to make sure that I give you the tools and resources you need to help you, get the fast track. So yeah, I want you to take a moment and think about your current portfolio. And if you don't have one yet, that's okay. You could imagine what it would look like or what you would put together if someone said you should send it in right now. So think of your current portfolio and think, okay, what is something that is potentially missing, or what is something that you think will stop you from getting the job? Does anyone have any ideas? You can just leave them in the chat so I would see it. Hello, are you guys here? Okay, we're thinking. We can definitely brainstorm. Okay, yeah, poor presentation or poor representation is definitely a good one. It's a major one. I know because when I was helping a client look for a social media manager when I was exiting the role, and I got a lot of applications, but major, like 90% of them didn't have a good portfolio or a decent portfolio. Some of them, their CVs were not put together well. Some didn't have structure. It's kind of like they went into Word, Microsoft Word, they put it together and then they sent it. So yes, if you don't have good representation when you're sending out your CV or your portfolio, it definitely counts against you. And if you don't have a good structure, it will count against you majorly because when clients see your portfolio or your CV, the first thing they do is have an idea of, okay, this person will probably be able to do this. If they're this detailed when it comes to how they present and package themselves, then I can trust that they will be as detailed when it comes to my brand. So yeah, that was a good one. Thank you guys for contributing. So what makes your portfolio stand out? That's the big question, what everyone wants to know. So first off, one thing you need to remember is that having a portfolio isn't enough anymore. There was a time when all you needed to do was have a portfolio, no matter how good or bad it is, but just having a portfolio was enough. And you would look like you went the extra mile. But now it's no longer enough because now that everyone is on social media, apart from just your portfolio, your social media presence matters a lot. So if you say that, oh, I'm a social media manager or I'm a freelancer in whatever area, and the client checks out your social media account and there is no evidence of you even being that person, you don't talk about what you do, you don't promote what you do, you don't post content around what you do, it creates doubts in the minds of people because now they're like, okay, but how are you doing this? And your social media has no evidence of that. Maybe your social media is just a bunch of random stuff. Like you have to be very careful with how you're branding yourself as a freelancer or an entrepreneur, whatever area you're in, you have to be very careful with how you brand yourself, because all it takes is a simple Google search and, typing on any social media platform, and all your information could be brought out or dug up. So yeah, there are thousands of social medias who can design a nice post or, a decent post in Canva, but it's only very few who can actually present their work, their processes, who can present a strategy and not just present it, implement it. That is what makes them unique. That is why they can afford to charge a lot higher than most social media managers. So what you want to aim for is to be part of that 10%. Okay. Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for joining us. So we're still at the beginning. We haven't gone too far. We just want to, let me just give you sort of a recap. So we're talking about the importance of a portfolio and why it is important, what makes it stand out. So I'm sure you could follow along. I'll make sure to share the recording and the slides after the masterclass. So just relax. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the chat and I will respond. Okay. Also, okay, differentiation is not about shouting louder, but showing up smarter. Now, on the topic of differentiation, if you go on Instagram and you type social media manager, you're going to see a lot of profiles pop up. And as you go through some profiles, you will see that they're all starting to sort of blend together. They're starting to look the same. The content is looking the same. The formats, like it's looking the same. It's looking generic. You know that, okay, this is what this person is going to post. And even down to the brand colors, the branding, they look the same. You see that a lot of them are going towards, okay, we want to be beige and calm, no colors. Then you see a lot that are like, okay, we want very simple, minimalist posts. And it's the same content that is being recycled over and over again. That is what makes those kinds of accounts boring, because you want to be able to differentiate yourself in a space that is already heavily saturated. The social media space is very, very heavily saturated. Everybody wants to be a social media manager, and it is not that difficult to be a social media manager. If you take a course, you can create an account, call yourself a social media manager, and you can start from there. So in terms of barrier to entry, there is very low barrier to entry when it comes to this field, which is why you want to be able to differentiate yourself, and you have to be very strategic with it. So whether it's your content, your colors, even down to your fonts, the font you use, you have to be very clear that I want to make myself look different. For me, my brand colors help me to differentiate myself, because it's not a color that is so common in the space, or at least I haven't seen it used too often. So you just have to find something that you're like, okay, yes, this is what I'm sticking with to help me, differentiate myself. It could also be your messaging. There are different ways to do that. And all you just need to do is you sit down and you do some brainstorming to help you get there. So yeah, what does your portfolio need to stand out? The first thing you need is a very good introduction. Think of it like when you're reading a book. What makes you decide whether you want to continue reading a book, apart from just reading, okay, the summary at the back of the book, is the first chapter or the first few paragraphs. If you start a book and right off the bat you're bored, chances of you staying to the end or saying, okay, let me tough it out, is pretty low, which is why you want to make sure that your introduction to your portfolio is interesting. No matter how you want to place it, of course, you want to be professional, but you also want to grab their attention. You want to say something that it hooks them instantly. So you want something interesting. You want something that makes them say, oh, okay, that's interesting. Okay, I want to keep reading. So there are different ways you could showcase this. And We're going to go through some of them as we're in here. And then something else you need is work samples, but not just random work samples. So when you're putting your portfolio together, there's no rule that says you have to get every single design you have done under the sun and include it in your portfolio. Your portfolio is supposed to show the best of the best. It's supposed to show like the best example of what you can do, what you can accomplish for your client. So you have to make sure that you're very strategic in what you put there. You want to make sure that you're showing the best results you've gotten, you're showing the best designs you've gotten, you're showing the best evidence of growth. So that is something you need to make sure that is in your portfolio and be very, very strategic. And of course, share your results. This is very important because if, as a social media manager, your portfolio only has pictures of, okay, these are the designs I've done, these are the reels I've edited, but you're not showing the major parts or what will make the client say, okay, yes, definitely going with you, which is your results. What metrics have you achieved? How did you grow this brand's followers? What's happened behind the scenes? What have you done? How did this campaign go? Let them see the numbers. Let them see what you can bring to the table. So make sure to share your results. And of course, testimonials and social proof, they are very, very important. You need to have your testimonials. Yeah, you need to have testimonials, even if it's 2 or 3. You don't need too much, but you just need like good testimonials. Testimonials that speak to what you can do or what you have done. And it just makes you look more credible because it's like, okay, yes, there are people who have agreed to vouch for this person that they can do what they need to do. And then another thing is you need to keep it clean and professional. So I have seen some portfolios where some people choose to go, bold and maximalist, and then the message gets lost in it because unless, so my philosophy is unless you're in a design role or in a design career, be it graphic design, UI, UX, whatever, unless what you do is purely design, there is no reason why your portfolio should have so many things going on. You can have a really simple, really gorgeous design that does the work for you. Of course, you include some elements to make it more interesting, to make it not so boring. But at the core of it, your portfolio should not overwhelm your clients at the first glance. Because let's say they are viewing over 300 applications. Yes, you can do some stuff to make it interesting, especially the cover page where they're like, okay, this is interesting. I like how this looks. Let me see. There are certain things that you should focus on, which is like making sure the colors are good, the font is good, the arrangement is good. If you can nail that down, it makes the work easier. So yeah. Do you guys have any questions so far? Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, I don't think so. So, all right. Awesome. So I'm going to continue. And then, of course, another thing you need to have in your portfolio is a good CTA, because when you're finished doing all that work, like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I can do. You finish doing all that work, listing everything you can do, putting in the work to design it. You need to then have a CTA that's like, okay, now that you have seen what I can do, now that you know the results I have gotten, let's say, okay, call with me or want to collaborate with me, you do this. Like have a CTA, not just you leave it there and you be like, and you leave it at your contact page. No, tell them what to do because you can never over communicate too much. It's better to over communicate than to under communicate. Okay. So I have another question for the group. So if you could work with any brand or clients in the world as a social media manager, who would it be and why? I want to know. So yeah, just drop it in the chat. Let's see if you could work with any brand or client in the world as a social media manager, who would it be and why? Ideas, ideas. What is everyone thinking? Okay, it's okay if you don't have the specifics, but in terms of brands, what do you have in mind? Oh, okay, yes, Vicky James. Yes. Mm, I completely agree with that one because not just her designs, the way her social media is handled is chef's kiss. I love it because it's interesting, it's dynamic. She has so many things going on and she has found a way to balance it. So I really love it. Okay, great environment slash entities. So do you think you would want to work in the sustainability field or industry at some point? Because that's a very interesting industry. I did some work in it sometime last year and it was so interesting. There's a lot of revenue to be found within sustainability because, the world is starting to lean more towards it because now we want to save our planet, reduce carbon waste. So there's a lot of revenue to be found there. So when you say sustainability, it's a massive field. Okay, non-profit, that's good. What kind of non-profit though? What kind of non-profit? Mariah has so many ideas. It's like, I want to work at a non-profit, but I also want to support people who are making profits. I would say maybe like an interesting part of it is you're like, okay, I want to do something for the community, but I also want to make a living. So I feel like what you could do is you could have a taste of each industry, which is something I do when I'm curious about an industry and I'm like, okay, let me look for brands within this industry and make my pitch, see if I hate it because an industry sounds good. Then you get into it and you're like, maybe this is not for me. And that's perfectly fine. I know that ed tech is not for me. It's a wonderful industry. There's a lot in it, but it's just not for me. So, okay, family, girl child, boy child. All right. It sounds it sounds interesting. So it's kind of like something related to the sustainability, I mean, developmental sustainability goals, the SDGs. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Stephanie, do you have any feedback to give us? I'd love to hear from you. Is Stephanie there? Okay, well, I guess we can continue for now. But yes, thank you everybody for sharing. That was an interesting one. So, yes, types of portfolios. Now, there are a lot of different ways I have seen people present their portfolios. There are lots of different ways people prefer to present their portfolios, and we'll just, get into each one. Okay, I have a message here. Okay, Stephanie said she would love to work with brand collaborators. Okay, when you say brand collaborators, do you mean like influencers, celebrities? Because there's a lot of, I think there are the ones who fall under brand collaborators. So is it influencers, celebrities, creators? Okay, let's see. Okay, celebrities. Definitely understand that. Okay, so when it comes to working with celebrities, that means you want to work within the media and entertainment space. And um, it's not an industry that I have interest in, so I don't have a lot of information regarding how to break into it. But I would say your best bet is maybe you start through an agency because getting to work with, oh, excuse me, getting to work with celebrities will require like you having some sort of connection or renown. Pardon, let me drink some water. Awesome, yeah. Okay, so it would require you having some sort of connection to the people who work under them. So, um, I know there are some celebrities that they have social media managers who handle their page, but I would say a good portion of them, their social media is handled through their agencies or through their label, and maybe the label outsources to agencies. So maybe your best bet to get in there would to go through an agency. I'm sure you can find, once you do like a Google search, you can find, agencies that work with celebrities, stuff from maybe Nigeria. So marketing agencies that work with celebrities in Nigeria, and then you see the openings and you somehow find your way there. So it's a good one. I love it. And I would love to see you get there. Okay, so back to the slide. So we're talking about different kinds of social media manager portfolios. So the first one is the Google Drive. I have a love-hate relationship with Google Drive portfolios, not because they are awful, but mostly because to me, it doesn't look professional if maybe you're not a graphic designer or video editor. So as a video editor, I definitely understand that some videos are too heavy for you to be like, okay, let me put it in a portfolio. Some need to be in Google Drive. And I see them to be more of a supporting portfolio. Like it's supposed to support your already existing portfolio and you'll be like, okay, here are some links to my video. So not that your entire portfolio is in Google Drive, because imagine a client opening your mail and then you're like, okay, here's the link to my portfolio, and it takes them to Google Drive. And then they have to click each like each one by one to see. It's very tiring. I know because I did that. It got old pretty quickly. So I would say this should be your last resort at the bottom of the ladder. Okay, so the next one we have PDF portfolios. I love PDF portfolios because it's very handy. You can just you download it, send it, you attach it, and then once you have it in your files, just have to click it and send. It's very, very handy. I love PDF portfolios, and I love them because you can do your portfolios on a presentation, say in Canva or PowerPoint, and then you download it as a PDF. It's very accessible because some clients might not, they might tell you that, oh, I don't want to have to open a PowerPoint. I don't want to have to do that. But a PDF is very handy because even from the email, they can view it without having to download it. So it's one of the portfolio types that I recommend to social media managers when they're sending out their applications and all of that. And then website portfolios. I love, love, love website portfolios because there's so much space and room to do a lot. You can be as creative as you want to, and it wouldn't look too heavy because it's a website portfolio. It's on a website. So it's very immersive. If it's done well, it can be very immersive. It can have you go into the details. You can be like, okay, yes, this is good. I have seen some website portfolios that were so basic, they could have just been PDF portfolio. So in order to do a website portfolio well, you need to make sure that it's well structured, that it flows well, that each level is connecting really good. So that is just one of the things you have to take note of. And yeah, those are the different portfolios. So building a portfolio in Canva, this is the main reason why we are here. And I have a portfolio template that I'm going to share with you guys after this. But first, let's go into Canva so I can show you how to work on that portfolio template. Okay. So this is the portfolio template we're working on. I tried to make this a simple and easy to use template because I understand that not everyone has, advanced graphic design skills. And also another thing I tried to make sure of is that I used um the free Canva element so that if maybe someone doesn't have a premium account, it's not an issue. So this could, I feel like everyone has different styles that work for them. This template is currently done in my branding, but there is no reason why you have to leave it that way. So let's say you want to change the element or you want to change anything. It is more, you're okay to do that. So let me give you a good example that you already have this, but you don't have to work with what's here. You can decide that, okay, I want some parts of it and I don't want other parts of it, because that is also fine. It's a template, but you don't have to follow everything in there. It's not rigid. So let's say you want to design something from scratch, or you want something that looks different. Let me see. Okay, let's go with this. Some people have different preferences. This is not my preference, but this is not about me. So let's go with this. So when it comes to this, you can just change. If you have no brand colors, I recommend using like neutral, easy to customize colors because it makes it easier. So this is done in there. So let's say we want to do, let's go with what is in here. And then, okay. So let's say we're going with a brown color palette or thing. And then you go with there are lots of different fonts you can choose from. And if you're not sure what to use, I recommend like just you try it until you see something that works for you or something that you're like, okay, yeah, I like that. I want to use that. Mm, let's see. Now let me use Cooper BT. So let me use it because I like how it is. Okay, so Let me pick a name here. Let me use Stephanie's name. This is an example. So your portfolio absolutely does not need to look like this. I always recommend it looks something like this, where you have an image of yourself, so the client can connect with it right off the bat. But just to show you guys how to, do some editing, and then you want to make sure that the elements all work together. So whatever color you want to use, you make sure that it's incorporated or it aligns with what is already in your existing color palette. And then this is the next section, about you. And I put some, little excerpts for how you want to go about this. So you want to include like a 1 to 2 short paragraph telling your story. You highlight your niche, your tone of voice, your values, your area of expertise, and then of course include a professional headshot, because you want to make sure that your visuals align with what you're doing. So if you are, let's say as a social media manager, you're charging like 300,000 naira per client, you cannot have a picture of you against some background, like a selfie picture. It doesn't look professional. It doesn't look like, oh, I want to give that person 300,000 naira. You have to make sure that you are branding and positioning yourself in such a way that when you say this is how much I charge, the client will be like, okay, I see why. Like I see it. It doesn't sound unreasonable. It doesn't sound unfeasible. So you can always edit this. Sometimes one slide is not enough. Sometimes you have more to say. So you could choose to duplicate the slide, or you could choose to have like a completely different slide. Let's say about, and then there are interesting ways you could do it. So it could be something like this. This is a pro template, but it could be something like this. You see how it's all put together, it looks cute. And then you make sure that, of course, with the way it is, too much text wouldn't work for it. So this could be maybe the first page, and then this is where you now have the continuation of the rest of the details. So here you just have to edit to have the brand imagery all come together. So assuming we're going with the brown color palette, this is what we're doing. So you make sure that all the elements are coming together, it's aligned, it's not one is a different color, another one is a different color. There has to be harmony with the design. It has to be interactive, it has to be immersive. Because what you want is when they're viewing it, they need to feel like, okay, yes, this was cohesive and well done, well structured. So you could have this as your first page. You go straight from here in here. Already they're like, oh, okay, wow, I love it. Now, something you could add, this all depends on you, is a table of content. So you could have a table of content. And the thing is, you don't need to design some of these things from scratch. You just have to go on Canva, find something that works, something you can edit, and then you have it. So of course, this doesn't fit with the vibe of what we have in the full portfolio, but I said this is an example. Maybe let's find something that isn't so ugly. Here. This. Now you have this, you have a good picture. It doesn't have to be a picture of you, although I recommend that if you're doing your portfolio, you make sure that you have at least 3 to 5 images of you in there so they can really connect to it. So it doesn't feel like, just like a brand thing that was done on the side. So you have your cover page, a table of content, and then you get into it like, okay, this is who I am, information about you, then your services and what you offer. So this is where you can go, go big. For some people, the way they structure theirs is different. So how I structure mine is cover page, table of content, a little background about me. Then I have my education, then I get into it. And then what I do as well is under the work experience section, I kind of structure it like a CV. So they see it at a glance, they know what they're doing. They know that, okay, this is what she has done, or this is what she's currently doing. And then I'm moving to showing them the results I've gotten, the work I've done, my visuals. So it's kind of like they have all the information up front and then going to the visuals, which really seals in the deal. And then at the end of it, I have my services and packages. So everyone has different ways they prefer to structure it. Just because this is structured this way doesn't mean yours has to be that way. You find what you think works best for you. You know, okay, this is the flow I want to go with. This is how I want it to go. This is the kind of experience I want the clients to have when they come on my page or on my portfolio. So assuming you're going with the structure here, you have your services. Now you could choose to have them in bullet points, or if you want to, give more information, all you have to do is you duplicate and then you have your information on that. But usually try to keep it short and sweet. So one page is usually enough. And then, of course, the key skills, what you bring to the table. Then you're going into your projects. There are different sections. You could always have a different grid coming here. Like I said, this is a template, is a sample to sort of, guide you. It's not, this is what you must do. So yeah, this is the third project. And you can have a break slide where you're like, okay, let me give you some interesting information about me. So in here, I just put this as break slide. And then I said, you now have to write, okay, here's some interesting information about me, or here's a random fact about me. Anything. If you don't need this, you could delete it. And then you have your testimonials. I think this is a really good template for testimonials, where you have the picture, the name, and especially for a social media manager role, you want to let clients know how you work or how you do things. So what I do is, oh, can you guys hear me? Said my connection is stable. I hope it's still clear. Just let me know if you can. You can hear me, all right? Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So yes, your creative process, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you tell the client how you work, especially if it's a freelance role. The thing with freelancing is some people are under the misconception that they are still employees, which you are not. You're kind of calling the shots in terms of how you work, how long you work, and all of that. So you need to tell the client that, okay, this is how I do my creative process or my process. So you tell them that once we sign the contract, these are the next steps. For me, my process involves, I always tell them that as a principal, I always collect a 50% down payment before I do any work. So for the first month, I collect a 50% upfront payment, and then I send them a contract because you never work without a contract. You'd never, ever, ever work without a contract. I send them the contract. Once they have signed and sent the down payment, I then send them the onboarding documents, let them know what I need from them, whether it's their social medias. I onboard them onto Asana, which is my project management tool that I use to handle client projects. So I onboard them onto Asana, and then in there I have the different tasks that I need to handle for them. And I also tell them within the portfolio that the first 2 weeks of, our collaboration, that's the first 2 weeks of the month, there is no posting. I'm not posting anything. I'm not doing anything on your page because those 2 weeks are dedicated to working on the social media strategy, the brand audits, the competitor analysis, the target audience breakdown. Like there's an entire structure that I have to put in place before I say, okay, I want to put together a content calendar and share with you. So I make sure that they have all that information upfront so they know that, okay, this is what we're going into. And even in the contract, I make sure that it is included there so that no one will say, oh, we didn't know, we had no idea. Because the whole point of this is you want to make sure that as a social media manager, you are protecting your time, you're protecting your energy, and you're also protecting yourself. You don't, because it's so easy for clients to turn around and be like, I never said that. I never agreed to that. That's why you need documentation, you need proof, you need your receipts. So this file here is for you to document your process. If you do not have a process, you need to work on getting one because it's so important. Your clients need to know what to expect from you right off the bat. They need to know that, okay, she's not going to be posting, but we can expect the first draft of the social media strategy or whatever she's working on after the first week. And then the final draft is coming the second week. And with that draft, we have the content strategy, the content calendar, the content for the month. So that is something I always do. So they have all that information and it breaks those, oh, what next questions? You're not doing anything. Why is nothing happening? It reduces that. And then another thing I do is I try to reduce my clients' expectations to not exactly zero, but I try to bring it below because I always tell them that my job is not to make you go viral. My job is not to get you 10,000 followers in 2 weeks or in 1 month. That is not my job. If that's what you need, I'm not the right person for you. So I make sure that even during our discovery call, I communicate what is reasonable and what is expected. I communicate that my job, what I do for you is to make sure that money is coming into your pocket, to make sure that your target audience are buying from you, that they are not just seeing your post and going, they are actually converting, which is why I am a strategist because I do a lot of strategy. That is why those 2 weeks are the most important. So, and then what's next? So this is also in addition to the creative process where you tell them, okay, this is your next steps. This is what you can do next, whether it's, okay, call with me, do this with me, whatever, you have it there. So it's kind of like after they have all that information, you're doing the work for them because now it's like, okay, they don't have to think of the mental load like, okay, so what am I supposed to do next? It's like, okay, now you can either schedule a call with me so we can talk, or you can pick one of my service packages. Now, another thing I do is I have packages, different packages when it comes to social media management. So I have different packages at different pricing and tier points. So usually I have them in a separate proposal. I have proposals that I send to clients because it's not all clients that I send my portfolio upfront. Some clients reach out to me that, okay, this is what I need. This is how I want you to help. We have a call, we have a conversation where we talk about these things. And then I say, okay, cool. Give me 24 hours or 48 hours, and I will work on a proposal that is customized for your company, let you know what I think you need based off what you've said, how I can serve you, and how much this will cost you. So that is something different where I put together a proposal that has all this information. And the goal of the proposal is to answer a lot of questions, because the thing is, when you tell clients that, oh, okay, maybe you say my price is 300,000 naira, the first thing they're going to ask you is, okay, so what am I getting? Usually, once they go into that, I tell them, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you a proposal that will, outline all of this information. Because if you're sitting there, you don't want to be talking off the top of your head, because that's how you trap yourself. Because it's easy for you to sit down and be like, okay, with that, I'm going to, handle your entire marketing, your content creation. I will do videos, I will do video editing, I will do email marketing, so many things to sort of beef it up to make it look like, okay, yes, so you're getting a lot to, you don't want to do that, because it sounds easy to say until you start doing it. Because there is a reason why the social media manager is not supposed to handle everything. Your social media manager is not supposed to be your content creator. She's not supposed to be a video editor. She's not supposed to be a graphic designer. Now, it's okay to have these skills because it does help you to sort of push for a higher pay grade when you're like, okay, but I'm not just doing social media marketing for you. I'm also doing this. I'm also doing that. So it's kind of like add-ons to beef up your package, but you have to know how to put it together in a good proposal. So, and then you have get in touch, different ways they can reach you. You don't have to put your house address in your portfolio. I do not recommend putting your house address in your portfolio. Your phone number and email address is enough, and then maybe your LinkedIn profile, or maybe some other link that shows, more proof of what you can do. So that is this portfolio template in a nutshell. I should probably delete this and this. But yeah, let me go back to, so yes, we're back to this presentation. But so far, does anyone have any questions for me? Do you have any questions for me? Do you feel like there are some things I wasn't so clear about? Do you want me to expatiate on some aspects? Just let me know. I'm here for you. Do you have questions? Questions? Are you guys here?
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Mariah. That's so sweet. Okay, awesome. I'm glad you guys found this so useful. I'm glad you found it useful. Okay, so you have any more questions for me? Maybe something wasn't clear in what I said, or you want me to go back and, run it back again. Just let me know. Okay, so if you have no questions so far, I would say let's continue going. So yes, this is something that I want to address as well, because usually for beginner social media managers, they have a concern where they're like, oh, okay, I want to build a portfolio. Okay, yeah, okay. Faith has a question. Would the soft copy of the template be sent to us? Absolutely. The soft copy and the recording will be shared with you guys via the email you used to register. So you're going to get, all the information as well. So, I'm going to make sure that everything gets across to you guys. Awesome. You're welcome, Faith. Okay, so this question, I don't have clients yet. What do I put in my portfolio? This is a very interesting question, and it's something that I want us to discuss here because more often than not, as you're starting out, you usually don't have, a client and all of that. So there are a few strategies that I use or that I have employed in the past as well which really helped me with building my portfolio. So the first thing I did at the time when I started out was when I believed in, unpaid labor. So I did a lot of, free work. I did free internship. I took on free clients and I'll be like, okay, I want to work with you in exchange for a portfolio. Sorry, in exchange for a testimonial. So that is not something I always recommend because at the end of the day, yeah, I feel like even as a beginner, there's still a lot of value you're bringing to the table where you should be able to negotiate, even if it's minimum wage, that, okay, this person will pay you like a stipend, that if you're working with them for a month, that they'll pay you a stipend of, could be 30,000 naira, it could be 40, it could be 50, and you're doing this work. So just so that there is value in what you're doing. And another thing, if maybe you say, okay, I want to do the free internship or I want to do the free work, make sure that you are very strategic with it. Make sure that there's a time frame. Don't do more than 4-6 weeks. Like between 4 and 6 weeks is the ideal time. Don't do more than that because you don't want a situation where you start feeling like you're being taken advantage of. And when you're coming to this agreement, do not do an oral agreement. Even if it's via text message, work on a contract and send it to them and be like, for the period of 4 to 6 weeks, however long you guys agree on. And then you have the dates, you have what you're going to be doing for the person, what you're going to get in return, which is a testimonial and all of that. So you know that you're being very, excuse me, let me drink some water. Awesome. So you know that you're not feeling like you're being taken advantage of or that your work is, you have to keep on doing free work, free work, free work. And if you know that I want to start getting paid at some point, what you can do is you can take out like a period of 6 months and you say, in this 6 months, I'm going to focus on building my portfolio. You don't have to take a year, you don't have to take a long time. You can just say, okay, in this 6 months, I'm going to focus on building my portfolio. I'm going to focus on growing my skill sets because I have a goal to get my first client after the 6 months. And you know what you're looking for. So when it comes to working with these clients, I recommend that when you start working with them, when you get access to their social media accounts, you take screenshots of before you started. Like the first thing you do is you take screenshots of their insights so you can track, so that you can compare. So at the end of the period, you can compare and be like, okay, yeah, when I started, this is how they were. This is maybe the number of followers they had. These were the insights. And now this is what they have. So even if you're putting it side by side on your portfolio, someone can see that, okay, there is clear evidence of growth, that if this is what you can do in 4 weeks, 6 weeks, imagine what you could do in 3 months. Another thing you should do is, if let's say you don't want to, like apart from just the clients, you also want to do other things. What you can work on is case studies. And you can have the case studies built around the clients where you're like, okay, let me create a fictional campaign for this client I'm working with rather. And you can create a fictional campaign, or you could even create one that you implement with them. Because when you create the strategy, when you do the work for them, you want them to have value. So maybe you could say that, okay, this is my plan for this client. I need to get the most that I can from them in the period of time that I'm working with them. So that means apart from just the screenshots, I need to have a campaign so that I can track the campaign, so I can put it together in a case study. And by the time I arrange it in my portfolio, it would look like, it would look like I know what I'm doing. So you have all this information, you do a case study, you do the campaign, even if it's a 2-3 week campaign where you're implementing it, you just put something that relates to the brand, and maybe it wouldn't cost the clients any extra money because maybe they don't have the capital or they don't want to, but maybe they like the idea. So you could pitch the campaign to them that, okay, I have this really good idea that could work for your socials. Would you be interested? And when you put it together, you make sure that it is well structured. So when it comes to putting together a campaign, you need to make sure that you first of all have very good knowledge, very solid knowledge of the brand, what they do, where the gaps are. Because the whole point of a campaign is to sort of fill in a gap or to, highlight a need and then resolve it. You want to make it such that their target audience are like, okay, yes, I need that, I want that. Even if it's for a fashion brand, even if it's like doing a half off sale or like a 10% off sale. Like you just find a way, like whatever kind of campaign you do, just find a way to make sure that you are getting the most value out of it. You have your process, you document. So the best advice I have for you when you're trying to build your portfolio, but you don't have experience is you document. Another thing you can do is use yourself as the case study. That was something that I also did because as I was working with clients, I was also working on my brand because I was also working on my graphic design. I was also working on my copywriting. I was working on so many things because I wanted to make sure that I was also evolving and growing. And for each stage, I was making sure to document it to show evidence that, okay, this is what I've done, this is how I've gotten here, and all of that. My LinkedIn profile has seen me in different eras, my LinkedIn and Instagram. If you scroll to the very bottom of my Instagram profile, you will see how I started with the ugliest designs. They have gotten a little bit better over time, but I started with very ugly designs because I was new to graphic design. I was new to so many things. But I prefer to do that with my own page because it's my page. You're not going to beat me. But I don't want to do that with a client because now it's like, no, the client has to get the best version of me. They have to get the most professional version of me. They have to get the version that lets them say, oh, yeah, it was a good idea to have her on board. So that's just some things you can do when you're putting together your portfolio. Do you guys have any questions regarding this section? Any questions, concerns, anything you want to address? Questions? Is it clear so far? You could just let me know in the chat. Okay, I think you guys don't have questions. I think so. Yeah, so this slide is just covering like some other things you can do to help you, you know, get the experience you need for your portfolio. And yes, this is our review and feedback session. So like, I really want to know, what are your questions? What are your concerns? Let's talk. Stephanie, Faith, Orion, Chisom, Shawn, any questions? Okay. So you guys don't have questions. Is it clear? Okay. Chisholm says it's clear. All right. No questions. Everything has been really clear. All right. I love that. I love that it's clear and detailed. Love it, love it. Okay, so next steps. So after the masterclass, I'm going to share the free portfolio template with you guys so you can look through it. Okay, so there is a question. So is there a way to go back and correct bad impressions like the social media post you mentioned? Yes, there is a way. So what you could do is if maybe you prefer to not have the post there, you could delete them. But I chose to leave it there because I want people to see like the clear progression in my skills, and I just felt like it was a really honest review of how I have grown and evolved as time went on. So you could always delete them if you feel like, okay, I hate what I have done previously. I don't want to see it. I don't want anybody to see it again. I want people to forget it. You could always delete it. Granted that you didn't do anything that is very incriminating, like you know how people leave some funny comments on Twitter, they think they have deleted it, and then like a few years later it resurfaces because someone took a screenshot or someone saved something somewhere. So as long as you didn't do something incriminating, I feel like deleting it is fine. It clears the slate. You're starting, from a fresh palette. So yeah, that is something you could do. And um, if maybe you're working with a client who has, had some pretty bad impressions in the past, what I always recommend doing is before you take on any clients, you do your research on the client. You have to know whether this client has been controversial in the past and how bad it was if they were. So you know what you're getting into because there's the chance that it could always pop up again. And when it pops up, you want to make sure that you are prepared with, a crisis plan that, okay, oh, this is happening. Sorry. You want to make sure that you're prepared with a crisis plan that, okay, this is happening, this is what's going on, this is how we can mitigate it. So always, before you start working with any brand, do your research. Do your research so there is no problems, there are no issues, and you know what you can handle comfortably. So yeah, and something I'm also offering, because I think when I was talking about the portfolio templates, I mentioned a lot of things. So something I'm offering, I'm putting together a social media manager template bundle where you get a proposal template, a strategy template, a contract template. So if you don't know how to write a contract, I will do that for you. I have the template. All you need to do is change, what you need to change, what you need to add. I'll make sure that it is all in there. The audit template, a services and pricing guide templates, then new client onboarding template, because your onboarding process is just as important as, everything before. You want to make sure that your clients have a good experience when they're coming on with you, that right from the very beginning, it starts with your portfolio. Let's say they now say, okay, we want to see what you can do for our brand. You have the proposal. They say, oh, we love it. We want to work with you. You have your invoice templates, what you send to them that, okay, this is the invoice. And you also have your contract template. You say, okay, this is the contract. This is my contract. This is what's in here. Everyone signs, everyone's happy. Now that you have the contract, you have your down payment, you then go into the onboarding. This document basically covers everything the clients will need to know. It's basically like you would do some repetition from, okay, this is my process. This is the first 2 weeks, there's no posting, it's focused on strategy. you give them a refresher so they know, okay, there are no excuses from anyone's end. And then you let them know, okay, this is what I need from you right off the bat. This is maybe how I will be managing your account. If you use a project management tool like Trello, Asana, whatever, if you don't use, I recommend you get one. It's the tools are free. They have the free version and they're really good. I use the free version of Asana and it has served me well. So you don't always have to go for the paid version. So I recommend you do get a project management tool because it helps you know what is going on in each client pipeline at a time, especially if you have multiple clients. So it's just really good for you. And then the client questionnaire should come as part of your onboarding template. So it's something that list of information you need from the client to help you with the strategy. So you have that in the questionnaire and you send it with the onboarding template. You do the social media audit template, the strategy template. So I have done the work to make your life easier because I know that these things can be a bit annoying to work on. I work with a lot of templates. So for everything here, I have a template. That was something I did was I created a template stack for myself that I was like, okay, yes, I don't want that every time I need to do a proposal for a client, I need to go and start from scratch on Canva. No, I need a template for that with my branding, my name, like the design, everything. Because you don't always need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to have a structure that works for you. And yeah, there's also the social media reports template. So when you want to, give the report at the end of the month, what you don't do is you screenshot and you send to the clients. That's not what you do. What you need to do is, I want you to remember one thing. When it comes to social media management and marketing, presentation is everything, which is why I'm offering this template bundle because you want to be able to, one, show your client that you are professional, that you're serious, that you take them seriously. And the client isn't going to feel like you're taking them seriously if at the end of the month, they are getting their social media reports in Google Docs with just the screenshots. And then you arrange them like that and you tell them, oh, this is how you perform this month. That's not going to fly well with them, especially if they don't understand what's going on. Because it's your job to interpret the insights. What most people understand is, okay, we grew from this number of followers to this number of followers. Okay, is that all? That's not all. There are also stuff that goes on behind the scenes where you're like, your engagement rates went up, your conversions on your website went up, you got this number of profile clicks, like all that information. I'm going to put it together for you so you can, upload it with the explanation so they know the numbers they're looking at because some clients just need like a little extra effort. They need to know, okay, this is what I'm looking at. This is why it's important. This is how I know that the social media is working. And of course, in the, what's it called? In the social media reports, what I also do is I include the next steps for the next month, where it's like, okay, based off the data we have gotten for this month, maybe this is what we're doing differently, or this is what we're going to continue doing. If maybe we saw that, okay, videos did the best this month, we're going to be like, okay, so we're going to update the calendar to do a few more videos, or you see that, okay, carousels perform the best. We're like, okay, we're going to do like a few more carousels with some videos just to see. So you're not, you're trying to show them that you're evolving and you're growing. So yeah, this offer is available to those who attend the masterclass at a discounted price because you are my girlies and I want you to have it. So an email regarding this will be sent to you with the link. So if you're interested, you could just purchase and you would have a PDF will be sent to you with the links to each of these templates. So I would show you the process on how to get to everything. But yeah, does anyone have any questions so far? See a message in the chat. You're welcome, Faith. You're welcome. I'm glad you love that. So yes, thank you everybody for joining me at today's masterclass. I had such a good time, and I hope you had a good time as well. This is a good if you guys have any questions, like this is a really good time to, let's talk. Do you have any questions regarding what I've said so far regarding the templates? Any questions? Okay, so do we have no questions? Are we good to go? Okay, no one is saying anything. Okay, so we're good to go, right? Okay, I'm going to assume that. Okay. Okay, Stephanie has a question. Do you always have to update your portfolio with all the feedbacks you've gotten? Okay, so I would say this depends. It depends to an extent because if maybe if maybe you ask someone to review your portfolio and they tell you that this is the issues I'm seeing in your portfolio, or this is the areas I think you need to improve on, I feel like it would be good to implement that. Because the thing is, most clients don't give you feedback on your portfolio or your CV. Like most clients don't give you feedback. It would probably be up to you to maybe ask for it directly, or look for someone to give you feedback. But however, there's something I forgot to mention. If you have your portfolio here and you would like it reviewed here, like I'd absolutely love to do that. So if maybe you want me to review your portfolio, you could just maybe share it here and we can review. Is anyone up for that? Anyone? Okay. Okay, I don't think anyone is up for that. That's fine. So I guess we can end today's session here today. And let me give you everyone back some of their time. I really, really enjoyed today's session and I hope you did too. I would love to get feedback from you. So maybe you could tell me, how you felt about the session, if I answer some of your burning questions, if I gave you what I promised. So yeah, you could always feel free to respond to the emails or you could email me directly. Here is my email address. I'm just gonna put it in the chat. So you could send me an email here. And even if you still want me to review your portfolio and don't want to do it on the call, that's okay. You could send it to me at this email address and I will do the review. So thank you so much, everybody. I enjoyed having you here and we have come to the end of today's masterclass. Yay. So awesome, awesome. So can I go ahead and end the meeting? I just have to make sure that no one has any questions. You can just let me know in the chats. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you. Chisholm, we can go ahead and end the meeting now. Yeah. You're welcome. I'm glad you learned a lot, Stephanie. Thank you so much. You'll get the recordings and the the portfolio templates in your email latest by Monday, Tuesday. Awesome. Thank you. Bye, everyone.